you don't know, you damn well should know. My name is Rag Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the one, the only Onision. It's been a while since I've made an Onision related video. Most of the drama these days kinda just is not very appealing to me. I kinda got bored of it quite a while ago. But there have been some recent updates that are very serious, very concerning, and that I feel obliged to talk about considering the things I have spoken about in regards to Onision in the past. Now I want to make it clear that I am not going to be your #1 go-to source on this drama. I'm by no means the most well-read person on every single aspect of this, and I will be referring to some other videos made by some other creators throughout this video that you should go and check out if you want to know more about each piece of drama that I'm actually going to be speaking about. I will leave the links to the specific videos that I speak about in the description down below. So if you do want to be reading more in depth, all the screenshots of everything, every single piece of evidence, then I do suggest you check out some of the links I leave in the description, do a bit more research elsewhere, maybe even listen to Onision's side of the story, listen to his wife as well, listen to what they have to say and don't just listen to what I'm saying. Because this video is more just for me to give a brief rundown of a bunch of different things that have been happening and also to give my opinion on those things. This isn't supposed to be some new expose video. I've done those sort of expose videos in the past about other people, but that's not what this video is. None of the information I'm going to be coming forth with in this video is breaking news that I am giving to you for the first time. That's all information that I'm getting from other people. So with that all said, I'm now going to continue and get into this video. I started watching Onision back in maybe 2009 or 2010, around there, and at that point I was a big fan of him. Actually, I enjoyed his comedy videos. I mean, that was a long time ago. How old would I have been then? 13, 14 years old? I was a young Rag Reynolds. But with time I started being more aware of certain bits of drama that were popping up. I was hearing all these stories about how horrible of a person he was. Even just myself looking at him, I could kind of see there was a lot of shady things going on, being around his forums, knowing the way he would flip his attitude every other day. One day it was okay to criticise him because everyone has the right to an opinion. The next day everyone who criticises him gets blocked. That sort of thing. So over the years I did grow more savvy to him, and the big thing for me, my opinion of him mainly went downhill actually when I started speaking to him via email one-on-one. That was really the downfall of my opinion and my view of him. Just the way he would respond just didn't seem very sincere. I always felt that there was something off about him. But there has been countless drama, as I mentioned. I mean, the first thing that pops to my mind is the Onision turtle incident. That was one of the most entertaining pieces of drama anyway. There was all the drama with Shiloh, there was the Adrian stuff, there's the Billy stuff, there's the stuff with his wife Lainey. There was, even back when his first wife, Sky, there was so much drama back then as well. The guy is a walking headline. Somehow everything he does, every aspect of his life, somehow he fucks up. Somehow everything always manages to turn into a screaming match or into some insane piece of drama. And I've not just been critical of Onision in the past, but I've actually been very critical of the people who are critical of Onision. I have had many run-ins with people from the so-called anti-O community, mainly YouTubers and Tumblr blogs. YouTubers such as Joy Sparkle BS, Some Guy 827, Real Stream News, Tall Videos. All of these people being scumbags in their own rights. All of these people being batshit insane themselves. And regardless, that's not what I'm here to talk about today, so I would now like to move on to the first part of this video. And that is all about Laineybot.
But today I'm going to find out if I'm a trans-trender. We're going to look, how to spot a trans-trender. The whole trans-trender thing is really stupid and harmful to the community. I get called a trans-trender a lot. Before
we look into the crimes of Onision, before we look into the recent drama, we must first look into his partner in crime, Laineybot, who is now going by Kai. I remember when Lainey first showed up on the scene, and I thought she seemed like a nice young girl. I thought it was maybe a bit unfortunate that she was with Greg. I could see right away, just as many other people could, that he was going to mess her up in the head, and I think that has been the case. I think now the person she is entirely different from who she was at the start of their relationship. I think she started off as a nice girl. I think she started off very pleasant, but I think all these years with Onision has just destroyed her ego, has destroyed her on the inside. I'm not trying to make excuses for her because that's not what I'm here to do, but I can understand how she has ended up the way that she has, and it's from this long, horrible relationship with Onision. But you can't excuse someone of wrongdoing just because they had been the victim of wrongdoing in the past, now can you? Now Lainey is arguably one of the most notable examples of what you would call a trans trender. I say this because people all over the internet are convinced that Lainey is not what she claims she is. You see, Lainey claims that she is trans. There's this thing years ago where she started referring to herself as non-binary, as agender, all this other nonsense. And now we're at a point where she is calling herself Kai, is requesting that everyone else call her Kai, and wants he and him pronouns. Now this has been a flip-floppy thing for a long time, where one day Lainey is happy being called she or her, or the next day she wants to be called they and them, and then, oh, it's he and him again, or, oh, now I want to be known as daddy, and now I want to be known as a prince, and now I want to be known as a she again. There's a lot of flip-flopping and indecisiveness here. She's the kind of person who likes to wear boys' clothes and have her hair short, and she seems to think that that makes her transgender. Meanwhile, she has never been diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and she has no intention of seeking out a diagnosis of gender dysphoria. She has no intention to transition, and she flip-flops, as I already mentioned. I also find it strange that she splatters her face in makeup while she feels oh so masculine. I'm no expert on this stuff, but from talking to friends that are transgender and other people I know that are transgender, I know that people who have gender dysphoria tend to hide their bodies. They feel ashamed of their bodies. Trans guys do all they can to hide their breasts and keep their clothes on because they're ashamed of these growths on their chest because they don't feel like they should be there. It's a horrible thing for these people who have this issue to go through. It must be heartbreaking for these people. It must be so hard for them to get through their day-to-day lives. Just imagine if you were going through this and every day of your life you were wishing you were in a different body, wishing that you could be someone else, wishing that these parts of you were gone, feeling ashamed of yourself every day, feeling very self-conscious, wanting to hide your body from other people. Then online you see this picture of this girl who's claiming to be going through the same thing as you are. Meanwhile, they're half naked in every other picture. You see this same girl talking about how she's trans and how her issues are just as valid as your issues are. Meanwhile, she clearly seems to not be experiencing gender dysphoria like you are. I could be wrong here. As I said, I'm no expert. But if I am right, and if all these other people who say these same things are right as well, don't you think that's just such a huge slap in the face to anyone that actually does have to deal with these issues? Every trans person I have spoken to says that Laineybot screams trans trender, and I'm inclined to believe them. It doesn't help that her husband can't seem to decide what to call her either. I've seen some tweets where he refers to her as his husband, and then the next week he's calling her his wife, and then it's back to husband, and then it's back to Lainey, and then it's Kai, and it just seems to be lots of flip-flopping and indecisiveness on both ends. Not just him, not just her, but both of them seem to be very flip-floppy here. People largely seem to think that this whole thing with her is for attention. And I can understand that, because just consider who she's married to and how she must feel. She must feel as though she needs to keep herself fresh and interesting to keep his attention. But personally, I tend to think that this is more about victim points. I tend to think it's more about Lainey liking to play the victim, so that she has something to hide behind anytime someone goes after her or insults her. Lainey loves to play the victim card, and I can definitely see all of this as just being a way for her to call herself part of a minority group and to get victim points. It is also worth noting that she may actually believe that she is trans. It's very possible that after all the Billy drama and seeing how Greg was with Billy, that Lainey has developed this trans personality as a way to cope, as a coping mechanism. She started to reject all of her femininity, and perhaps this is so that Greg can't reject it first. This is the first time I've ever actually spoken properly about Lainey in a video. And that's largely because I don't know Lainey. I really don't. I don't keep up to date with her as much as I do with the likes of Onision. I've never spoken to Lainey one-on-one like I have with Onision. And I've never had a personal problem with Lainey. But I do think that it is important for me to bring up some of these issues that people have with her, specifically this whole transgender thing, because I think it's important that we realize who we are dealing with when we get into the rest of this drama surrounding Onision and her as well. It does seem as though she is as bad as him at this point, and we will get into why in a little bit. But I don't think it always was that way. I think that once upon a time she was nice. She was a lovely girl. But I do think that over time, Onision has corrupted her. If you do want to know more about Lainey, I would recommend watching Masked Babe's video on Laineybot. It was a fantastic video, very well put together, and it will give you a very good background on Lainey and the kind of person that she is. Link to that video will be in the description down below. And with that all said, it's time to move on to Tractorgate.
I've already planted multiple trees. I've covered 95% of any exposed dirt in my yard, thus helping prevent erosion.
What's the date? August 10th, 5 p.m. 2016, 18. All the medics in the video right now. So category 2 wetlands. Here's a 100-foot buffer from the edge of the wetland for development. The permit at the very least from mitigation for clearing.
Onision, being the lovely, concerned environmentalist that he is, decided to take it upon himself to go into his backyard and start chopping down trees and bushes, and just destroying in general the wetlands behind his home. He then took a tractor and used this tractor to push all of the debris into a lake. Onision even posted a video of himself cutting down some of these trees on his YouTube channel, which was then used in court against him. Onision kept trying to claim on his Twitter that this was just some bushes and some yard work that he was doing, when clearly that wasn't the case at all. There was even video evidence produced of him doing more than just general yard work. I would recommend checking out Mr. Repzion's video on this subject. It was a fantastic video, and he explained everything in far greater detail than I am doing right now, so I would recommend checking that out, link in the description down below. But it's crazy, Onision has had to settle in court. He is having to pay to have these wetlands restored. He is also having to pay fines, because what happened was he started doing this work in the wetlands. He started chopping things down. He started destroying the wetlands, and he was issued a court order. Stop! He was told to stop, but he didn't stop. He continued on doing what he was doing. So now Onision is not only facing charges to restore the wetlands, but he is also facing fines. He is also facing then his lawyer fees. And it was hilarious because he decided to post this GoFundMe where he was trying to raise $100,000. Onision included perks on this GoFundMe page where he was going to print out little stickers and put these environmental friendly stickers on trees in honor of certain people, and the whole thing was ridiculous, honestly. It made me laugh quite a bit when I saw that he had set up a GoFundMe for this. Then there was this whole thing on Twitter where he was outed for trying to have people pay his legal fees for him, basically. And then within like an hour, the GoFundMe was taken down. I just find this whole thing quite amusing. It reminds me back of the whole turtle incident where he killed his turtle. Meanwhile, he's this great animal lover, supposedly. And, oh, I love animals so much, and I'm a vegetarian because I would never want to hurt animals. And then he goes and does something like this. He goes and starts destroying an ecosystem, starts destroying animal habitats, just because he wants to. That's very great of you, Greg, isn't it? You're such a great environmentalist, you're such a great vegetarian. Please. And yet this is a guy who runs around acting as if he's some sort of moral crusader, as if he's some guy who is the epitome of knowing what is right and what is wrong. But with that all said, I think it's time to move on to the most important part of this video.
So there's a person who went out and said that we groomed somebody?
Warning, this is going to be a mess.
You're not acknowledging the actual real shit that he's done that does have pedophile like connotations behind it.
I don't think we need to talk.
You're talking about the YouTube videos, the YouTube shit that's come out, or like the pictures. I'm not talking about that stuff, because you're right. I will defend him on that. He came out and was like, send me pictures so I could do a video. And if underage girls send him pictures, that's on them.
This is just silly. Move on.
However, There is other
however.
legitimate shit that has gone down when it comes to underage women that might not be public information.
I want to start by referring to that clip that I just played for you of Madison DeCambra on the Drunken Peasants podcast when she went off on Onision and Billy the Fridge was trying to shut her down over it. Well, oh boy, this is only the start. It really is. It's only the start of what we're about to talk about. You see, the main thing that actually prompted me to make this entire video that I'm making now were accusations from Ayalla. I'm going to play a few clips now of what Ayalla said.
It is very apparent to a lot of people that Onision or Greg and his wife Lainey or Kai have repeatedly pursued very, very young women, some of which were underage, some of which were just freshly 18, and it has become sort of a horrific pattern to not only have seen in real life, but to witness even from afar. Ever since I came out and said that I had heard some things and seen some things in real life, I've actually had a number of people come forward DMing me and sharing their own stories about being contacted by Greg or Lainey about how they intentionally offer them, you know, free trips or concert tickets or a better life or schooling or all of these different things that they're offering to these young women to try to get them to come out and live with them or stay with them or become part of their throuple or whatever you would like to call it. What I know is that Greg Onision has a very long history of contacting underage girls. Shiloh was underage when he found her. Lainey was underage when he found her. Billy was contacted by Lainey when she was freshly 18, which means that Lainey was aware of Billy before she was 18. It's a little horrifying to watch because when I went up to visit Greg and Lainey with Billy, there was a young woman there who was essentially their foster daughter. They had filed for legal guardianship of her, and she admitted to me that whenever they first started talking, her and Lainey, that they had previous discussions where they were flirting back and forth, where they had discussed being in a relationship in the future potentially. She admitted this to me at 15, which means that these things, these conversations that they had happened previous to that, even younger than when she was 15. I've had a lot of people come forward. Shannon Taylor came forward and said that they, previous to Billy, tried to fly her out and offer her a bunch of like fancy VIP things to come and sort of coerce her into being them.
If what Ayalla says is true, just wow. I'm inclined to believe her. For me, it's not just about if she's telling the truth, because I do believe her. What does she have to gain from lying about this? I don't see anything she has to gain. I can't think of anything she has to gain. It's not like she's going to gain lots of popularity over this. She's already had a little stunt with Onision. She doesn't need to do it again. She had a stunt with Onision when Onision was more popular than he is now. If she was after popularity, it doesn't seem like the best time to be doing something like this. So Ayalla said that this young girl, Sarah, had romantic conversations with Lainey and even flirted back and forth with her in the past when she was only 15 or 16 years old. But to be fair, there has since been evidence produced by Sarah herself where she has shown screenshots of travel documents of the very first time she actually met Ayalla, and she says that at this point she does prove that this was at a time where she was 16 years old, and Ayalla had originally said that she was 15 years old. I think that is irrelevant considering the fact that Lainey and Greg both knew Sarah from before her being 16. This is something that started when she was only maybe 14, 15 years old. You see, it's one thing for, say, a 30-year-old to say, okay, I'm going to go have sex with this 18-year-old I just met. That may be a bit wrong to some people, but it's legal and it's probably not that big of a deal. But when that 18-year-old isn't just a random stranger, when it's someone you have known since they were, say, 15 years old, when it's someone you have known for a long time, someone you have been close to, and now you're doing that, now you're gonna get involved that way, there's something very off about that. There's something very creepy, there's something very predatory about that. It is wrong in all ways. And just to make it clear, I'm not claiming that Sarah did have sex with Lainey or Onision. I'm just using that as an example, as a comparison, because although it might not be to that extent at the moment, it could certainly go there from what we've been seeing, from the other things that people have been saying about this situation. What we do know is that it seems as though Sarah has been groomed by Laineybot and by Onision, and from my understanding it does seem to be more Laineybot rather than Onision, and that's why I wanted to take the time earlier to specifically talk about her and not just get right into just talking about Onision. It has also come out that Sarah has watched Lainey bathe in the past, watched Lainey bathe naked. It was also said that apparently Lainey likes to walk around the house naked a lot, so Sarah would have seen her naked in that sort of situation as well. And whether or not that's right or wrong to walk around your house naked, I'm not going to even dispute that. I'm not going to argue about that because, I don't know, nudist are a thing, I suppose, and I wouldn't argue that just being a nudist makes you a bad person, so I don't know about that. But what I would say is it is more fuel to the fire about Lainey being a so-called trans-trender, because again, if someone does have gender dysphoria, they are very dysphoric about their body, would they really want to be parading around naked in front of people? I wouldn't think so. Anyway, this whole thing, along with many other accusations and screenshots of other girls that both Onision and Lainey have tried to almost collect or groom to be the next Billy, in many other people's words. All of this confirms that Lainey and Greg have essentially been grooming other people to come to their home and to be the new Billy, to engage in their holy trinity, to engage in their polyamorous relationship. And you know, this stuff is probably quite bad on its own. Just take Onision's relationship with his wife. The whole basis of it was bad in the first place. I'm not even talking about the age difference or anything like that, but the fact that she was a huge fangirl. For someone to be a huge fangirl, to then be the person that you get with and you marry. Now, maybe that in itself isn't 100% the biggest deal in the world, but from things that have been said in the past, from screenshots that have been seen, from things that Lainey said before they got together, it was very, very clear that Lainey was the kind of girl who was going to do whatever she could to get Onision's attention, who was going to do whatever she could to get with him because she was such a big fan. And when you have someone like Onision who has a fan base, and a lot of young girls are part of that fan base, there is a responsibility that comes with that. There is a responsibility not to exploit these people, not to manipulate them, not to abuse your position of power. There is a reason why consent laws change from what they normally are when it comes to involving teachers and students or doctors and patients. There are reasons behind all of this. And it's because when you're in a position of power, when you're in a position of influence, when someone looks up to you, you have tremendous power over them. You have a tremendous ability to manipulate them. And that's just the beginning of the relationship. That's just Greg and Lainey. And then to apply this, the two of them together, then going after young, impressionable girls on Twitter, even if they are of legal age, it is still wrong because they are preying on girls who look up to these people, who are overwhelmed that a star is paying attention to them. They are essentially starstruck a lot of the time. How would you feel if some celebrity, some A-lister that you have a crush on was to suddenly message you on Twitter out of the blue? I'm sure anyone would be a little bit starstruck when their favourite actor or actress or whatever sends them a random message. I mean, people love meeting their idols. They don't think clearly in these situations. Anyway, after Ayalla made these accusations, she then took to Twitter and said that Onision was now threatening to sue her and that he was hurling accusations her way. Obviously all of this is just an attempt to silence her that is obviously not working very well at all for him, is it? So after all this, both Onision and Lainey decided to jump on livestream and try and clear the air about some of these accusations. However, they just seem to incriminate themselves even more.
I never had a relationship with her. There was never talk of a relationship. We did not have a romantic relationship. Nobody cuddled in bed together. That one is absolutely super duper, super fake. She did not watch me bathe.
Yeah, so there's a person who went out and said that we groomed somebody. That somebody that they're talking about is an awesome human being. They've wanted to be with Kai for a very long time, and Kai has, when they first encountered Kai, like physically, been in the same room as what I'm talking about, is when Kai was dating his girlfriend at the time. So there was no chance of that person interacting in a romantic way or anything like that. That in addition, their age was a little awkward. It was legal, but it was awkward, so we still didn't pursue. Because, you know, I'm not talking about what happens in however much time. I don't know what the future holds, but we're not dating Sarah. Okay? Like, that's never happened. It's not currently happening. Yeah, that's it. So
Lainey came out and said what she said, then Greg gets on stream and throws everything she said under the bus. Now unfortunately none of this is at all surprising. There is a clear and evident history of both Onision and Laineybot pursuing various young girls. Obviously there's the whole relationship with Billy that everyone is going to point to, but there have also been various other girls that have come forth and said that they felt as though they were being groomed. They felt although they were being groomed into being the new Billy. The thing is, it's just that Sarah seems to almost be the worst of any of these, and it's because Sarah was so young and so impressionable. Sarah has been groomed essentially from when she was 15 years old. Whereas a lot of these other people, maybe they were 18 or 19, maybe they were 17 at least, but with Sarah she was much younger, and it wasn't just an immediate jump into, oh, a relationship, but it seems as though Sarah has been groomed very slowly and manipulated very slowly from being a minor, now up until being legal. So if you ask me, the Sarah situation, even if they are not engaging in a relationship, the idea that they would even speak to her in this romantic way, the fact that they would even treat her this way, it just disgusts me more than anything else that I have seen from Onision and Laineybot. Personally, I don't care that much if Onision and his wife want to have a poly relationship. I really don't. I think the way they go about it is fucked up, it's weird, and it's probably wrong. But for the most part, I honestly don't care and I don't pay attention to it. But when you start grooming a 15-year-old, when you start involving someone so young and vulnerable, I can't not care about that. I've spoken to Sarah in the past, you know, years ago when Tumblr blogs were going after her. It seemed like everyone in the world was against her, and for some reason I decided to defend her because I thought that the Tumblr blogs are being very unfair to her. I don't even remember what it was about. And at that time I had maybe 1 or 2 conversations with her. I can't even remember what they were about, but I just remember thinking that she seemed like a bright young girl. She seemed very nice. I do think that a lot of what this drama is showing is that Onision is not the only guilty party, as a lot of people may have once thought. It is so often that Greg will rush to the defense of his wife. Just look at the Billy situation, for example. He laid down his sword and fell on it for Lainey. He said, "Don't blame Lainey. It was me and it was Billy. All the badness was from us. We're the bad ones. Lainey is pure. She is a saint." But I don't buy that. I've spoken to Billy about both of them, and she has assured me that Lainey is equally as bad as Greg is. And I'm inclined to believe her. I don't know what else to say at this point other than that you should go and watch Ayalla's full stream where she talked about all of this. I will link that down in the description below along with the other videos I've already mentioned in this video. But let's just end this part of the video by saying, yes, I'm disgusted. People kept saying to me, "I hope you're prepared for this," and I kept saying, "Prepare? It's only Onision." I'm honestly so disgusted with both Onision and with Lainey. You know, I've not always been the harshest of critics when it comes to Onision, but I just couldn't stand back and not say anything after hearing all these accusations. The only time I can remember being this disgusted or angry with Onision was perhaps back when all the Billy stuff was happening. I was so disgusted, just like I am now, and I'm sure that everyone could see that from the video I made. I wasn't joking around like I normally do. I was being very serious because it's a very serious issue, and I've not been joking around in this video like I normally do either as well. As anyone who has been a long time viewer of my channel will know, I've got a long history with Onision, and it's a mixed bag. Some people call me a brain dead Onision hater, and other people call me an Onision dick rider, and that's because I've always been in the middle. I've never had an issue with Onision's actual video content, and for a long time I actually enjoyed his content. I haven't in some years, may I add, but Onision was one of the very first inspirations I had on YouTube when I started making videos. I used to take immense inspiration from him back in like 2011, 2012. But as I said earlier at the start of this video, after spending time on his forums, after speaking to him one-on-one, after learning more about him and seeing each piece of drama come by, I lost more and more respect for him. But I always still try to be fair. I try my best to judge each individual action that a person carries out rather than judge a person as a whole. That's why I have many videos being nice to Onision and I have many other videos where I go for the jugular. I've always had an issue with people nitpicking stupid things. I'll never forget one Tumblr blog I saw years ago that used to take every single picture of Laineybot, every single tweet, and they would analyse it and say, oh look, she isn't smiling in this image. That means Onision is abusing her. Stuff like that I really fucking hate. And that's why I've always largely been anti the anti-Onision community, because I thought they were largely just as bad as he was. Is this the end of Onision? I'm not sure. We hear people making claims like this all the time in all different mediums. We hear it in politics all the time, regardless of what you think of Donald Trump, for example. Since he was elected, you had people within the first month saying, oh, he's going to be impeached within a week, he's going to be impeached by the end of the year, he's going to be impeached by this point, he's going to prison. And that's been going on, and there's people who get on their Twitter every day, impeachment is coming, it's right around the corner, but it's never come. And I'm not going to give my own opinion on whether or not that should be a thing, but my point is, when you look at these people, do you not feel as though they look very stupid? When you're saying 100% this is about to happen, and then it doesn't happen, don't you think you look a bit like a fool? I think you should maybe give up a little and just wait and see what happens. And I think the same with Onision. I think there have been people for years been saying, oh, this is the downfall of Onision, this is the thing that is finally going to end him. His ad revenue collapsed, his viewers collapsed, he made a Patreon. I mean, there's been all these different things, yet for some reason, after people saying for the last 5 years or whatever, people have been saying it's the end of Onision, but for some reason, he is still making a living doing what he has always been doing. So I'm not prepared to say yes, this is 100% the end of Onision, but it does feel different. This piece of drama does feel different. It feels far more serious. I've seen people say they've contacted the authorities, people contacting the police, whatever. So it does feel different. It does feel like maybe there will be a closing chapter here. But I'm not prepared to say that's a guaranteed 100% thing, because who knows? I'm not a person who really regrets anything at all in life, but I do have a regret here. My regret here is that I ever went easy on him. I'm not saying I wish I hated him from the start. I'm not saying I wish I could go back and change some of my opinions about him. I'm not saying I wish I could go back and redo certain videos, because I wouldn't. I just wish that when I was angry during the whole Billy fiasco, that I had stayed angry afterwards. Because I mellowed. I'm a very easygoing person, despite what you may think from watching some of my videos. I don't hold grudges very easily. I struggle to not like people. I struggle to not get on with people. I really do. A few months after the Billy stuff passed, I had kind of moved on. I was back to joking around with him. I was back to doing a couple of different light-hearted streams. I even debated with him in a friendly debate about feminism, although you can't call that a debate. I still can't believe he took that entire thing seriously. I can't believe a lot of people did. If you look at most feminists, they're fat and blue-haired and they scream and they go, "Ree!"
Let's see.
Just Google feminist. I guarantee you the pictures that pop up will be...
Well, I'm gonna do. So we have a bunch of dudes in the audience, and I see no one with blue hair, and they look all skinny. Okay.
How do you know they're feminists?
Right. Let's go to another
How do you know
crowd.
they're feminists?
And you see me navigating through this, so we're just going, to the top things that show up as feminists. All right,
like
so we have no blue hair again, and what is that? 3 out of every? No, actually, how many is that? 3, 7, 7. One person is a little bit heavy. The rest are pretty skinny. So far, I mean, do you want me to use more examples of no blue hair and a minority of overweight people, or do you get it?
I'd like to see some more evidence. But that's not what we're talking about. The point is, I was nice to him because he was nice to me. That's how I tend to operate in life. If someone's nice to me, I tend to be nice to them. I treat people how they treat me. I'm a man of strong principles, and I believe that I could happily be friends with, say, someone who murdered an old woman 3 years ago, so long as they're cool with me now, and I'll be cool with them. That's how I operate for the most part. But as soon as someone makes even the slightest bad move towards me, I go for the kill. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but everyone is, aren't they? But I do realise there are times I have not always stood by what I just said. There are times where I have been the one who has been nasty to someone else before they were nasty to me. Take the whole Steel Stream News incident, for example. But I'd explain that by saying I just really despise liars. As I just said, I don't care if you murdered an old lady 3 years ago as long as you're cool with me, but I do care if you lie to me about it. If you lie to me about it, I will take that as a personal attack. But yeah, I'm getting a bit off topic. The point is, I wish I just stayed mad at him back when I was mad. I wish I had continued to berate him, but I didn't. And that can't be helped now. But now I know not to make that mistake again, because I've made it twice now. I made it with Steel Stream News, and I've made it with Onision. But it will not happen again. You have my word on that. I'd like to bring this video to an end now, and I'd like to end it by once again saying, please go check out Masked Babe's video on Laineybot, check out Mr. Repzion's video on the Onision Wetlands situation, and check out Ayalla's stream on her channel talking about these grooming allegations. These 3 videos are very informative, they are very good videos, and they explain everything that I've just talked about in very great detail. This might have been a bit more rambly than a lot of my other drama videos. It certainly wasn't as well put together or researched, I don't think, than a lot of other ones, but I more just wanted to try and talk in a general sense. I wanted to more vent some frustrations about how disgusted I was actually feeling over this entire situation. It wasn't really supposed to be a whole, oh, an Onision exposed, because I didn't have anything specific to expose that most people probably haven't already heard. I just wanted to get it out there and try and say my own part and what I was thinking and how I was feeling about the situation. And that's not something that normally I'm very interested in doing. Normally I'm someone who only wants to make a video about drama if I can somehow involve myself in the drama. I'm very self-obsessed, I guess you could say, in that way. When I took on, for example, tall videos, short videos as I call them, I made sure to insert myself into the drama before going ahead. Same happened with Steel Stream News. I don't have an interest unless I can personally invest myself, but with this particular piece of drama, I did feel as though, even though I wasn't personally involved, I did feel as though I had to say something. I just wanted to vent my frustrations. But what do you think? Do you think this is the end of Onision? Do you think that all of this is overreactions? And do you think that Onision's actually innocent? Somehow, I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, you're all welcome, society.
Reynolds,